guys, welcome back to the channel. So I'm very excited. Today I'm brewing my first beer from Igulu beer brewing machine. Options we decided to go for today, it's Mosaic Pale Ale. So the beer kits come into little Milo bags, or big Milo bags in fact, and it tells you inside what is meant to come with, the ingredients, and at the same time it tells you all the steps we need to do, obviously, to brew our beer. So machine currently has been plugged in. As you can see here, it's got the white light. So as the brewing progresses, the LED lights will change, which is absolutely brilliant. I have disinfected all my equipment, as you do with any brewing. So without further ado, guys, let's open this up and actually see what we have inside and then get brewing. The reason I'm doing this, guys, here at the bar, because obviously we're going to be testing our beer in the bar, and once the machine is brewing, and obviously, as you all know, when the yeast is settling, we don't want to be disturbing the machine afterwards, so it's going to stay here for the first time until we come to drink the beer in a few days. So let's have a look. So we have, first thing we have here is malt extract in the bag. I'll just get this all out there, you get to see. Right, so we've got some priming sugar. We have some more priming sugar. And some more priming sugar. So we've got 3 little sachets of 28.35 grams. We've got sachet of yeast. We have a little RFID, like I mentioned originally, where we'll scan it to start the brewing process. So I'll put that aside. And then we have our extracts. So I have here natural hops bitter extract. So they've got little numbers. This one is Mosaic one. This is number 25. So assume they'll give our beer a different flavor profile. Nothing worse than having a flat beer or any beverage when you brew this. You want to have some depth. Okay. So we've got a couple of mosaics. Sorry. So there we are. So literally looks like it's very, very simple. So as per the machine, guys, I told you I have disinfected all of the bits and bobs. First thing, obviously, you'll have to do, take the lid off, put that in here. One of the first things it says there is, guys, is to connect one of the your beer dispensing tubes into the machine first before positioning into the keg. So we've got the magnetic top here, which is, I think, is rather clever. So all I'm going to do, you see you've got the orange line in there. So we need to pull the trigger forward and then insert that tube, okay, as far as it goes to the orange line. Okay, so that's in. Let's push it some more. It feels like it's going to go forever, but it does. So your orange line will line up to the top of the top of the machine here. So let's do that first so I don't forget. Magnetic lid back on to hold that in place. So that's good. Okay, right, next thing. So with the beer then, as per instructions, guys, so we need to put some water to the mark we have here of 116 ounce, which is 3.2 liters, give or take. So I'm gonna proceed and do this. I have wiped my tops, okay. I know you can't be overly too careful with the sterilization when you come to brewing. So I'm gonna be adding on to the line here. So I'll need 1.5 of those bottles. It says there to use like sort of clean water. As I always say, guys, if your tap water is rubbish, you don't want any of these nasties in your beer. It can just, or any brew, it can affect the flavour of that quite a lot. So, ooh, label came off. There's one. So, okay, so to the level we are. Having this written on the jug, I think is a really good idea. So there's no guesswork involved. Okay, so next step it says there, guys, we're adding on first is drip the hop extract into the water and stir well. So we've got 3 of the extracts, so let's get them opened up, put them in there. Hoppy. Nice. Super simple, isn't it? It kind of looks, it's good, I like it. You can see they're starting to dissolve a bit. It's a dark one. Okay, and we go for that one. It smells good. This just smells like beer already. obviously. Those are the hops. Duh. Right, okay, so that's in. So let's now give it a mix. Again, make sure your spoon or stirrer stick is sterilized. Right, so next thing, guys, we need to add on, it says there to add on malt and sugar. So I'm going to get this out for a minute. So we've got our malt extract. So, malt extract. Okay, and let's add on our sugars. Okay, so all of the dry ingredients are in. So we're just going to give it a really, really good mix up. Everything is pretty much dissolved in there. Okay, and now is literally the final thing. It says there we need to sprinkle some yeast on the top without stirring. So let's get the yeast on top. Sprinkle that on top. Okay, good luck, yeast. Right, and guys, the next thing is we're going to lock the keg up and put it inside. So we've got the straw, no straw, but the thing that's going to dispense our beer afterwards inserted. Again, obviously it's all been cleaned up. So we've got the rubber gasket. It is very important that you put the rubber gasket in the correct place, okay, which is in the middle of the two bits in the end. Obviously without that, it's not going to potentially reach the correct pressure. Obviously air could escape. So make sure the gasket is there. And we're going to put the lid on top. You got to give it a really, really good push, okay? You have to make sure the lid is on. This is what creates, obviously, the airtight seal. And then we have our safety kind of collar on the top as well. Again, make sure this is a correct way round, and you can see the lips have to be like underneath, kind of logically how you would lift something, okay? And off it goes here. It's got like a little, not say crocodile clip, but it's got a little clip up here, okay? So make sure it's all snug. Just gives you an extra protection, obviously holding the stuff in place, and we're able to lift that. So do make sure it's all in place correctly. So now all that's left, there says there to put the keg. So put the keg inside, and obviously we're going to activate that with our RFID code. So let me just, get this out. Put the keg in. Okay. In it goes. Okay, so now we're going to connect. We've got that the thingy that's attached, the hose that attached to the front, okay, is going to go straight into the middle of the keg. Okay, you can't really go wrong with that one. Let's lock this in. Okay, and then we've got our, hold on, lock that in, here we go. And then we have the cable that is on the inside folded over, not the cable, the hose, and we're going to slot this over as per diagram. You can't go wrong, there's only one place to put this in. It's clicked in place, so you know it's in place. Make sure everything is secure, and we're putting the lid on top. And next thing, guys, we've got our RFID thing. So let me move the camera closer, we'll scan the code. Okay guys, so now I've got the RFID little sticker, so all we've got to do is scan this on the icon here. Oh, look at that. It already brought in the pale ale, so we click next. And it means 1 day at 16 degrees, 2 days 18 degrees, following 3 days at 20 degrees, and then last 3 days at 2 degrees when we're able to actually drink it. So let's press brew. So hopefully the color of that will change. Here we go, look at that. So our beer should be ready in 9 days, okay? That's pretty cool. So it tells you temperature currently, I suppose, of the liquid inside. It tells us the pressure, 0.54 psi. That's pretty good. And every time, as I understand, we can come back to this and it will tell us the countdown to the beer when it's ready. And when it's actually cooling, it will turn green. That means we should be able to drink that. So guys, there we are. This was rather simple, wouldn't you say? So all we have is to wait 9 days. I will check in halfway through to see, obviously, and show you guys the countdown of a time and see how the display changes. Otherwise, guys, we shall see you in a few days. So guys, here we are. 9 days have passed and the beer is ready. And you can see this butter green light over here. I have been checking on the top by opening the lid to see what was happening, and yes, normal fermentation was taking place. Towards the end of the fermentation, yes, the temperature dropped here to 0 and it crashed cooled the brew. By crash cooling, we're actually trying to get the yeast out of the suspension to drop down below. Because if you remember, by obviously me installing the machine in a keg, the little drawing straw that goes in the bottom of the keg, it is pretty much about an inch of the bottom of the keg. So that means when we're starting to draw our beer, we don't want to get any of the muck in. And the idea is, of course, that the yeast and all the other things, sediment settles at the bottom. So upon the completion, guys, I had the low pressure warning. And if you look in the book, it tells you have to make sure that all your bits and bobs are connected and make sure your CO2 is installed. I had the look so far, everything was installed. Everything was correct, so I decided to install the CO2 at the back. At the same time as well, the CO2 gives you much more carbonated beer, and this is what one would expect from a nice pale ale. So we've gone ahead and done this. And the next thing I had to do, guys, which I found, because the beer wasn't quite coming out from the spout here, is I had the air bubbles stuck in the little pipe. So if you ever have any issues with the dispensing the beer, have a look at your pipe, release the little pressure valve on the little bracket there, and let it dribble, and then put it back in. And that seemed to be solved the problem. So guys, without further ado, I could not be more excited to have a look and try the beer. So the beer is currently set at 2 degrees. We are slightly bit, I think, low in pressure to what they suggest, but it is a 6.40 psi. It does fluctuate a little bit. One thing to point out, it did take 5 hours to carbonate the keg. However, very important thing, I think I'm understanding the reason why, guys. The things like with the soda stream, when you put a lot of CO2 instantly, if it's just liquid, it will just bubbles up. Great. However, with here, don't forget we do have a sediment. And it took me a little while to understand why it's been taking so long, because we don't want to disturb the sediment at the bottom to make that fizzy. So again, without further ado, let's see how good that looks. As it's a pale ale, I'm using apparently a pale ale brewing cup. So here we go. Tilt your glass so you don't get too much foam. And then normally how they put this at the bar, they just stick it up and just trying to get some head. We don't seem to have too much, but guys, I have pinched that thing a bit. So we're going to try this in a minute. So let me try that initially, okay? Initial thoughts. Again, I don't know, guys, how this works in terms of, this is me first time brewing this, so it's trial and error, but it's got quite a lot of carbonation. Hopefully you get to see that. Nice and golden in colour. Oh, it's cold. Yeah, it's beer. It's beer and it's good. I can taste a bit of like a pineapple. I don't know if it's meant to have a pineapple there, but what I'm going to do, guys, I'm going to quickly release a little bit more of the valve on the top so the beer flows a little bit better. And I'm going to invite a fellow beer drinker who knows just a little bit more about beer than me. So guys, I have unleashed the clamp at the top. This is the one that controls the flow and the foam amount. So let's invite Mr. Daniel, who is actually his birthday today.
Beer drinker on hand.
Yep. So you
My
put
birthday
this
today, 25.
Yep.
Yeah.
Let's see what you do, because guys, I brew beer, I brew wine, and I brew cider, but my tipple is cider and wine. So let's see what Mr. Daniel will think. Here we go. He gets a bit more foam. He knows how to do it. Here we are. Look at that.
That's better.
Yeah.
She's a bit cloudy. But
First one.
The CO2. So once that settles.
Yeah. But again, it's a fresh beer. It's a fresh beer. It's to be expected. Again, I think it's very important to understand when you do brew and dispense from the same thing, it's inevitable. There's some disturbance. I'm going to stop talking. So cheers.
Cheers.
That nice head on there, isn't it?
Smells like a homebrew.
So what's your initial thought? It's a beer. Like, it's a great.
It's quite crisp, isn't it?
It's very crisp. It's good. It's very cold. I think the temperature makes a difference, don't you?
So it's got a nice golden appearance and crisp texture,
There.
offering a balanced combination of malt sweetness
Yeah.
and hop bitterness with notes of citric pine. Sorry, citrus. Must be the beer talking. Citrus, pine, and floral aromas.
It does have a citrusy thing to it.
And I get all that from that first sip. Not that I've read that from the bottom of the pack.
Yeah. But yeah, this is, guys, what it said, actually, what you meant to get. But
Yeah.
I did say initially, and I haven't actually read the small print, like what it offers you, but pineapple-y,
But to be fair, do you know what?
it's pretty good.
Yeah,
Pretty darn good, isn't
I
it?
would say so, yeah. There's definitely, you get the citrusy, like you said, the pineapple, but I mean, it's not pineapple.
Pineapple's
it's
not
more
citrus,
citrusy,
but this is, but for some reason,
bearing in mind, I don't like fruit beers. I think
No.
it's vile. But this is quite palatable.
how would you compare it to pale ales of? I know it's difficult because there's so many out there, but general as the initially when I initially.
I would put this on par with a craft one, not like a mainstream pale ale. It's more crafty. It's because of the citrus aromas and everything else. You normally get that with craft beers rather than.
Because it is again. I
mainstream
think
beers,
talking
but-
about the brewing stuff. Obviously, I've been brewing myself. We've both been brewing for a very long time, and generally just with the normal things. Finding out that the researching actually about how the mainstream beers are made and what goes in them, it's actually pretty scary. And the amount of certain ingredients you get or you shouldn't get is actually pretty scary. This is why generally I resorted to brewing my own wine and ciders as well, because I know what I put in there. And to me, like as you say, it's a craft beer, and craft beers normally cost quite a lot. But here, yes, the machine costs a bit, but the whole idea that you can actually get something and you can customize. So, well, that's going down far too well. Well, it's his birthday
One
after
thing
all,
to
anyway.
point out, he said to drink within 3 minutes.
No.
Oh, 3 days.
Yes, guys, if you do use the initial air of the machine, it says to drink this between, between 3 days, really. But with the having a CO2, you can prolong. So long as you keep your temperature low, protect the beer, you can drink this within that. So look at that. That is so much better. Cheers.
It's a school night as
So
well.
yeah, by having this with the CO2, you can prolong your beer, so it can sit there for as long as it lasts, really, until it's done. So long as you keep the temperature low. So anyway, the final thoughts, guys. So far, this was a first. I know we're going into the talking thing. This was a first use of this machine, and yes, obviously, I made a little bit of mess up with the hose. Not the mess up, but it's
There's
just
learnings
happened.
to be made. But
Absolutely, it's a very sophisticated machine, and to be fair. Yes, and it looks super smart. And I've seen they not invented this, they brought this out in mint green. And I'm like, oh, that's a good choice. You guys, Igulu guys, mint green looked amazing. Wink, wink. Anyway, coming back again. Sorry, the initial thoughts, guys. Superb beer it's a great beer. Yes, you got to learn this. You got to understand this, how it works, and find your ways. Using my little extra card after I'm scanning this later opens up to the abilities of brewing our own different things, which I'm really, really excited to do so. It's got so much to offer, like fizzing your own water if you guys choose to do so. It seems to have, it looks cool as well as. It got a lot to go for, but you have to, I think, really appreciate the idea of the true home brewing ability and knowing how to make your own mixtures or your own brews as well. And then same time to have something that's, to be able to dispense this at any time.
I like the fact that you can brew your own beer in it, so you can buy the kits that you can get from Igulu, or you can nip down to Tesco's at Christmas time when they do them, get a bunch of them kegs, sling them in there.
Yeah, you can do it. Something that we'll try at some point anyway.
Absolutely, yeah, because if you're desperate for a cold beer, just get a couple of them in there and away you go.
Yeah, because that is the only thing so far. Is obviously 9 days is nothing, but it's longer than a week. But some beers take different times. So if you could just set this over to brew the weekend, then it's ready for the following weekend. It's brilliant. But some of us are partial to having a brew middle of the week. It just happens, we all do. So it's
alcoholic spot.
yes, yeah. Nonetheless, guys. Anyway, we are rambling on.
To be fair, we only drink on a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and a Saturday and a Sunday. So I think we're quite good, really, aren't we?
Yeah,
we don't drink
well
all
behaved.
week.
Yeah, we have. Anyway, guys, yes, that's that. We're gonna leave this at that. We're gonna enjoy probably the rest of this in the next couple of days or so. So that's that, guys. Really, well, hopefully you enjoyed the video. I find this somewhat helpful before making your decision whether to purchase one of those or not. And, well, clearly somebody is really enjoying this. And I don't think that's going to last 3 days at all. So it doesn't work at the bar, really. He just passed by.
Just messing
Anyway.
around, really.
Oh, that's nice. Anyway, cheers. Thank you.
Cheers.